Hi guys, it's Doodly Squatch here. Got a fun drawing and some story time, so sit back, relax, listen to my voice, and here we go. So today's doodle's a fun example of me monkeying around trying to figure something out and then sort of picking a composition out of it and reusing elements, that sort of stuff. It's what I do mostly when I don't know what to draw. I go back to the the usuals, skulls, faces, piping, hoses. I don't know. I'm. Where do you suppose that came from? I think the reason why I put these hoses, hooking into like heads and arms and things, I would lay that at the feet of Omega Red from X-Men. He was this like Canadian Weapon X soldier that worked with Wolverine. No, he was Russian, wasn't he? I don't know anymore. Oh man. Well, editor, check that out. I don't know. Give us a little backstory on Omega Red. But he had these crazy tentacle-like things that would come out of his hands, and he had them like connecting from like his elbows to his back and that sort of thing. So very, I don't know, just 90s comic kind of stuff. And here you can see where I drew half this, and then as soon as I started putting teeth on the tongue, I'm like, oh, I like this better. So I immediately moved everything over and found a way to incorporate it. And then, straight on's boring. Let's put it at an angle. And then work this guy out. Place that eyeball with some teeth. And here we go. We can take off running and figure out this drawing. Yeah, it's almost my birthday. My brother just had his birthday, and so once his birthday's done, it's a countdown to mine. And I'm happy to be able to speak clearly to you guys. This last week I had quite the cold, and I had just this really down kind of here Tom Waits sounding voice, and I had to pitch everything low to be heard because if it went higher, it was gone. So it was certainly interesting trying to communicate at work, because a big part of my day is just talking to people. But I was able to make it work mostly. It was kind of funny because occasionally I would get like a small child coming through, and they would think I was doing like a monster voice. So then they would do one back. They'd be like, rah, rah, rah. So that's pretty funny. But yeah, birthday's coming up. Don't really know what I want to do with it. I'm not really in the mood for any big presents or anything like that. We're finally getting, we had drywall work done on the house, and now we're waiting on carpet. And so once that's done, we'll be able to reassemble my bedroom and my oldest's room. So he's been sleeping on the couch in the basement, like his future self in 20 years. Yeah. No, he's been a good sport about it. It's actually inspired him. He's like, my bed's too small. I need a bigger bed, because he's been sleeping on a twin size, and when you're sleeping on the big sectional couch, it's like a large bed. So I see the appeal. So that's pretty funny. But it'll be fun to sort of rebuild our rooms again, and the boys got some more fun framed art to hang up, and I'm wanting to rearrange things slightly. But the other thing you sort of learn when you're going through something like this is how much just junk you have. As far as my closet goes, I think I take up like 80% of the closet. My wife's stuff is very small, and she doesn't have a ton of it. I am spoiled by my uncle, who gives me a lot of his hand-me-downs. and they're all nice, so it's hard to just pass up on them. So I have a bunch of dress shirts, and the funny thing is at work I'll just wear the same silly shirts over and over. And so it's a little trickier, but yeah, definitely going to be a purge of the closet, and then reevaluate what I want in my bedroom, and it'd be nice to open up the space a little. It was funny, my daughter was wanting to do another project, and I was like, no projects, you got to clean your room, it'll make you happy, I promise. And my wife laughed, and she's like, yeah, we're doing that too. And I'm like, you're right. And as chaotic as my office is, as you may have noticed from my daughter's puppet video we did, I'm still comfortable in here. As long as my chairs are clear, I'm pretty good, because in here I'm surrounded by things I love, things that inspire me. So it's a lot less of a burden, I would say, than in your bedroom. In your bedroom you're trying to relax, you want to sleep, so you need peace. What else has been going on as of late? I recently finished my playthrough of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I put it off for a long time. I knew I would eventually play the game because of just all the accolades it was receiving, and just generally pretty looking game. But I didn't want to sort of ride the hype train as it was conquering the lands. And and I'm poor, so I waited for it to be discounted heavily before I could purchase it. But it was a good experience. I really enjoyed it. It definitely harkened back to my teenage years, playing on my PlayStation 1 and 2. Just like every JRPG I could get my hands on. And this game has kind of all that, and it's trimmed a lot of the sort of fluff that came with those games. There's still longer cutscenes, but not like a bunch in a row. It's like when a cutscene came up, I would get excited. I was never I never rolled my eyes like, oh gosh, So it's such an interesting storyline. It's hard to discuss without really spoiling much. But it's been out forever, so I guess spoiler warning. Go ahead and put that up. Big flashing spoiler warning for Clair Obscur if you haven't played it yet. But here we go. So the idea of the painted world and the canvas really struck me. I loved that. The idea of being able to create a world and then place yourself in it, whether as a sort of omnipotent painter, or in Mael's case to accidentally slip into it and be overtaken and live a lifetime in there, and then have this sort of wake up moment. I love that idea. That's just such a cool concept to slowly unravel throughout this story, and then just this cast of characters that you just fall in love with. I even the ones I didn't use in my battle party, they were present enough in all of the cutscenes for me to still feel attached to them. Oftentimes with like a lot like of the earlier Final Fantasies, when you have like 9 characters but you can only have 3 present in your party at any time. A lot of them, I feel like I just sort of neglect them and don't really, I don't really feel anything for them. When I think back to like Final Fantasy 9, it's, I can't even remember the main character's name. Zidane, I think. And then the knight and Kina and the red-haired dude. They were my party all the time. So a lot of the other characters just kind of fell by the wayside. But in this game, they all felt kind of present and represented, and I enjoyed it. It was really, really darn good. And the concept, that sort of overarching concept of this imagined world that you're living in, and that there's a world like waiting outside of it for you, you as the person. Not to mention the sort of crisis of the lived in like painting characters. That's their world, so it's not like they can leave this. So finding out that your world is a creation beyond you is such an interesting concept, and I think that's that gets explored in a lot of things. The Matrix comes to mind, or 13th Floor, that sort of stuff. And I love it because it scratches that right part of my brain. I like to think that coming out of the canvas for Mael, and after having lived this life, basically up to the age of like 16 in this simulated experience, it is a lot like what dying is like, where you wake up from one dream into another. I don't know. I figure that's a good way to leave you guys off. Little existential crises. Here you go. But nevertheless, enjoyable game. Really liked it. I would highly recommend if you're a fan of RPGs. Even the whole parry system, that scared me at first. I was really worried about that because I suck at that kind of stuff. But it was good enough to where even I was feeling pretty cool at the end, and doing like million damage hits and things. Anyway, hope you have a good week. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoy this, hit a like, subscribe. I don't know, I've had moments where I'm not sure if I want to keep doing this, but nevertheless, it's still fun. I'm still enjoying it. It'd be nice to know if I was reaching some people. But anyways, we'll catch you later. Bye-bye.